So you put your life out there, and it makes you trend on Twitter sometimes, or X, as it were. I'm seeing.
Yeah, because I when I look at a bill that's passed by the House and the Senate, and they take the lowest
Income
threshold.
bracket. Yeah.
Yeah, the lowest threshold is 20. I think it was $27,000. Might be 26. But if you make 20, let's just say for the sake of it, if you make $26,500, your tax savings from last year are $40. The beautiful tax cut. And I sat there when I first heard it, I said, that can't be right because there's 52 weeks in a year. That's like 60 cents a week as a tax cut. And so I just went through it and I went to basically when you make $1 million, you get $60,000 back. So who needs the tax cut? The guy that makes $1 million needs the 60K, or the person that makes the 27 maybe needs more than 40 bucks. And I just looked at that and I was just like, and we're sitting and these Republican politicians are sitting there on July 4th around the president, and and Johnson, take the mallet. I'll take that mallet. Fucking Maxwell Silver Hammer. Uh, and this is my July 4th, and I'm just like, fuck this, man. This ain't July 4th. This is not my America. This isn't what I was envisioned. I remember when I was a kid. I was in the first grade. I was in Miss Van Auken's class, and we would stand every day at our desk, and we would do the Pledge of Allegiance to the Republic for which it stands, one nation under God. Nobody had a problem with it. Liberty and justice for all. We sat down. We did our day, and we went out and we had recess, and recess was like fucking 40 minutes. That was on top of gym class. Either rode your bike or walked to school. There was no buses to that because the elementary schools weren't far enough away. And you came home and you had dinner as a family. And I'd come down and dinner was at 5. I'd go down and sit in my dad's lap and I'd watch Cronkite with him. Didn't really understand, but I just remember that that was like my dad's news, and you didn't talk during the news. And then
Mm.
after that, you were his remote control. You changed channels for him.
You used to have to get up and walk to the TV if
Oh
it
yeah, get up
and
and
was not a
yeah,
live
and
on.
turn the gimmick. But I remember that. I remember in the summertime having the doors open because you didn't have air conditioning, and having a screen door that basically had like a little hook that locked it, and that 9 times out of 10 wasn't locked, and you just when you went to bed you shut your doors and locked it. But it was just a different time. I'm just like, we're so worried about making America great again, and this was before the riots in Detroit. And I remember going downtown on a Saturday or a Sunday, and whites and blacks, everybody was dressed, and nobody was causing shit or talking shit, or it was just chill. It was such a diverse melting pot of humans, and I know that a lot of that had to do with the industry and the amount of jobs that that the industry brought. That brought people from everywhere, and
It's also a big city thing, Kev, because if you had a blue collar upbringing, if you're living in
yeah,
a penthouse on Park Avenue, you're in a different world. But
no.
if everybody's taking the subway and we're all doing the same shit. We're all in the same boat, so to speak.
And I think
Wasn't
Detroit,
that
because it
division?
was so much manufacturing, I mean, you couldn't probably, I mean, Pittsburgh would go up there as one of them, but there was just certain cities that were just absolutely steel cities and car cities and,
Mm-hmm.
the whole Rust Belt. And I remember when the riots happened in '67, and then again when King was killed, April 4th, '68, which happens to be, like I've said before, the day my father passed, and watching Detroit burn again. And things never fucking recouped in that
Right.
city. Things were never the same. And it took me years to find out that basically that riot was caused by two white police officers fucking around with a black after hours place on 12th Street, and that was kind of like the fucking kindling that started that whole thing. And then they brought in the National Guard, and anybody that's seen the movie, I think it's called Detroit or '67 or whatever it is, but there's a movie on it that's pretty graphic on what the treatment was, and then from there you go to what the aftermath was.
I would. What percentage of cities that have had significant riots, Miami in 1980, were caused by problems in either in law enforcement or in the justice system somewhere?
Right.
I mean, that's the kindling for all of them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There was a middle class, man, and that's when you grow up in that middle class, and everybody's a couple people on your street have two cars. Everybody's, we had 800 square foot, like our whole neighborhood was 800 square foot houses, block after block. There might be three different trim levels that changed, and every once in a while there was a tri-level house. That whole area that I lived in, I mean, probably 4 square miles of the same fucking houses. And but people were doing good. They weren't suffering.
Well,
People,
people were getting by. People were making a living and feeding their
yeah,
families.
and
There
people
was
had you got new a pair of new sneaks every year to start school, and a pair of fucking jeans, and a couple of fucking maybe a sweater. And I remember, like, I used to always just wear jeans and a white T-shirt. And I'd wear my jeans for 3 days, and I'd change out my T-shirt every day.
you know
And but my mom was like, when my dad passed, like, she was such a stickler for your shit was laid out like before you went to bed. Like, your shit was on the desk laid out. Everything was just, she was OCD. Everything had to be, wasn't no fucking around. And then you take your shower at night before you went to bed, and you get up in the morning, and if you had long hair, you'd fucking go because it was so fucking cold in the house, and the heat wasn't worth a fuck, that you would go to the bathtub and take a big Tupperware glass and wet your fucking hair with hot water so you could fucking style it. So that,
style it. Yeah.
yeah, and then you take your showers at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I look at it now, man, and it's just like, if my mother-in-law didn't have my wife and myself, like she'd be in a panic, because they're talking now that they've overpaid so many seniors and they're going to start taking 10% back of those checks, and fuck, she barely makes, she barely gets by as it is. And I don't know, man. I still have that empathy. Like, I think the people that we should take the most care of are children, because they're brought into this world with no say so, and it's not like they decide, like, demographically where they get to be born. And then the people that have put 70 years on this planet and have done everything. The people that sorted mail for 35 years, and we got to take care of those people.
So this, Kevin, this is all. This seems to me like common sense politics, and anybody in the working class, I think, I would hope, agrees, right? However, when you voice these things and you're met with resistance or insults or just sometimes just ignorance, why? Where does that come from? Is it just the cultishness of someone not wanting to admit that a person with a different political view from them might be right about something, or at least has the sensibility of a decent person, regardless of what you're clearly in a different tax bracket than a lot of the people that are posting these things? But if you're speaking for them, why do they get mad?
Because we're no longer, I grew up in a society when we mattered. We now live in a society and it's all about me, I,
You're
singular.
right. You're right.
It's
We are
how
one of the
I
only.
feel. It's my thoughts. I'm right.
We're one of the only
You're a fucking, whatever, what are we called? When we're fucking Democrats, Demtards or whatever.
libtard, or but
Libtard,
that's one
yeah,
they use
whatever
sometimes.
whatever and it's just like, I'll tell you one thing, man. The word retarded, it might fucking have been cancel culture fucking that last administration, but if I fucking could get fucking $100 for every time I get called a fucking retard on social media, fuck, man. I'll be driving a fucking Rolls Royce, a different color every day of the week.
You're 100% right. We're the only civilization we're the only culture that prioritizes the I over the we. We don't do things generally to benefit us as a pack, as a society, as something to grow. We say me, I. Well, that's not fair to me. Why am I paying? Right. So, but the people that you're tweeting about are these. I don't think these are the CEOs of major companies that are sitting there on
No,
Twitter
and
with the time to send shit to you, but you're speaking for people
and
that are in this situation.
the thing also is, like, I understand, man. Like, where do you get that at? Where do you get that? You got to realize, dude, I have nothing to do all day except go to the gym. So the rest of the time, I'm kind of reading shit and doing shit, and I'm not watching CNN. I'm not watching MSNBC, and I'm not watching Fox. I'll watch bits and pieces of it. If I watch anything more than I watch the financials probably longer than, once you see a news cycle in the daytime, you're pretty much done with that. And it would probably blow people away that when we hit Iran,
Yeah.
I
Targeted
fucking,
strikes.
We were watching something on Prime, and Tamara looked over and she says, I've got a breaking news thing on Google that says that we just struck Iran. I said, wow. I said, Sean had contacted me earlier saying, looks like we're all in. And I hadn't checked I hadn't checked my phone or anything else. I was watching a movie. And so I said, I'd text back to Sean No, they're taking those B-52s to Guam because what I heard was they were going to send the Israelis in to take out that southern eastern coast to make sure that everything was clear radar wise there before they sent those B-52s over from Guam. And by the time, that fucking scenario played out that they were on their way to Guam, they're on their way home.
Yeah.
And I turned on CNN because usually Wolf Blitzer and people like that, they usually nothing. They had fucking talking heads. I said, motherfucker. I said, I turned on Fox. Right across fucking 8-inch fucking bold letters, U.S. bombs Iran. And I watched their coverage because they're giving me the news I want.